Welcome to Feel Good Friday, our weekly segment where we dive into the weird and wild news in the world of health. This week, the first successful whole eye transplant from E. coli coma to Paralympic glory and man on fire syndrome.
Whoa. Man on fire syndrome. That's what you've been dealing with, right?
You know what? I haven't, but
pretty much so.
Yeah, I mean, I've been dealing with my own version of man on fire syndrome, but very different. But the man on fire syndrome that we're going to get into,
Like Denzel Man on fire?
a little bit different and awful.
They call it Burning Man.
Really terrible.
They call
Listen,
it Man on fire.
we before we get into the goods, I just want to say, huge shout out to all of you rabid Vancouver folk,
Yeah.
who sold our show with Dr. Gabor Mate sold out in less than 3 minutes.
And if you are somebody who didn't get a ticket,
God
we're actually
damn.
going to be releasing the names and addresses of all the people who did get tickets. So if you want to show up at their house, challenge them to a duel for that said ticket that they have and you don't,
You can do that.
You can do that because that is, that's there's actually legislation. You can still duel people. I don't know, just in case anybody didn't know that.
I also, before we get into today's episode, I want to give a shout out to all the caregivers and care providers from the inaugural Canadian Caregiving Summit that
That's
we just
right.
attended, which
That's
was
right.
put on by the Canadian Center for Caregiving Excellence
Very cool conference.
that we
Very,
attended this
very
week.
cool.
It was,
Yeah.
and also the reason why today's episode is a little bit late coming up because that's where we were this week.
Yeah, we were in Ottawa all week. We didn't take our gear. We were 100% invested in learning and hearing stories at this conference, and of which we heard many, and we are feeling very inspired.
I'm probably going to see a few guests on the show over the next little bit from people that we met there. So
Yep,
really looking
definitely.
forward to that. So let's get into the news of the week. This is fresh off the press. We've got the world's first successful face and whole eye transplant coming out of New York.
So what was the first one? Face?
The
Whole
first
face?
successful face and whole eye transplant. Now,
Tell me you have a face-off clip.
I don't. I thought about it, but they didn't want to take this man's face off. They literally just wanted to put a whole new face together. Here's the thing.
It's a brand new face.
It's a brand new face. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I feel like that's kind of the way you got to go about it. We'll get into it, but I had this conversation. My health card arrived the other day at home.
How long were you waiting for that?
Since 2019, and it finally arrived. Finally, the people at MSI, like, I don't know, just showed up to the office one day, I guess, and
Or Canada Post. Could be.
I don't
Who
know
knows?
I don't know what the fuck was going on, but anyway, it showed up. And of course, it had the whole like donor, opt out thing on there.
Mhm.
And I was looking at it, and I was like, "Yeah, isn't that nice? Like, I'm a donor. I'm gonna like donate all my stuff." And I was looking at it, and the eyes were on there, and I went, "Wait, we transplant eyes? Like, what is that? What is that? Is that even a thing?" Well, according to what I've read here from this is making waves. This is every major news outlet has covered this. Apparently, the very first time. Of a transplant of an entire eye successfully. Now, successful is very much in air quotes here, as you're about to find out. But I didn't realize that this was a thing. I just thought, yes, your heart, your lungs, your liver, your whatever. If even your penis can be transplanted. But I just figured the eyes, like, I don't know, like, don't the eyes just kind of once your soul leaves your body, don't your eyes just melt?
You know
Well,
what's
if this
funny
was
is
the first one, I think what they typically, because I'm pretty sure you would have donated your eyes for a long time. I think they can take pieces up until now. I think they were
Right.
taking
Like
pieces of
tissue
your
and
eyes,
stuff.
tissue,
There we
eye
go.
tissue,
Yeah.
maybe your retina or something like that.
I was going to say,
Take some cones, maybe some rods.
Yeah.
because I've seen eyes on, like, filling out that form and seeing that form. I've seen eyes on it, but when you said that the first successful eye transplant has been done, I didn't think that was possible to do the whole eye.
Yeah, well, it's now, well, again, I say this, it's sort of now possible.
Yeah.
We'll
And
put it
Brian,
that
it's
way.
okay that you didn't know, because no one did until this article came out.
That's right. So this week, doctors announced that they had completed the first successful transplant of a partial face and an entire eye. In May at NYU Langone Health in New York City, the surgery was performed on a 46-year-old man who had suffered severe, and I mean severe, electrical burns to his face, left eye, and arm. He does not yet have vision in the transplanted eye and may never regain it there, but early evidence suggests the eye itself is healthy and may be capable of transmitting neurological signals to the brain, which is very fascinating. The feat opens up the possibility of restoring the appearance and maybe even sight of people who have been disfigured or blinded by injuries. Researchers caution there are many technical hurdles before such procedure can effectively treat vision loss, however. Quote, I think it's an important proof of principle, says Jeffrey Goldberg, a professor and chair of ophthalmology at the Byers Eyes Institute at Stanford University. Now, he was not involved in the surgery, but has been a part of a team working towards whole eye transplants in humans. He says, I think it points to the opportunity and importance that we really stand on the verge of being able to achieve eye transplants and vision restoration for blind patients more broadly. But he cautions that the main obstacle is achieving regeneration of the optic nerve, which carries visual signals from the retina to the brain. And this step has not successfully been demonstrated in humans.
It's funny because if you like imagine him saying in a way where he's like just trying to justify his work, like this guy who does this study on whole eye transplants, he's like, this is really exciting because like the guy definitely hooked everything up right, and like there's not quite a signal being sent yet, but like we're pretty sure it's all hooked up right. It should work soon.
So the gentleman who had the surgery, his name was Aaron, and I want to show you some photos. So and prep yourselves because these photos are intense. Okay. So here's a photo, wrong thing. Here's an old photo of Aaron and his wife. So this is what he looked like prior to his injuries. And Taylor, what you want to put your phone down and maybe look at the?
I just had something that I could not get out of my head and needed to happen right this moment.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So that's the gentleman before he had his injuries. This is after the electrical injuries.
Oh no!
God.
Very severe. So for folks that are just listening, he has no left eye at all. His right eye actually is fully. It's untouched.
He has very nice, a very nice eye color.
Yeah. It looks like his nose.
Thanks, Brian.
Completely gone. It also looks like his mouth is completely gone. Like he has no lips. He just has like a circular opening, and you can see his teeth. So again, it's like,
a very severe burn.
Very, very severe. Now, here is the before with the after right next to it.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Oh, wow. That's pretty wild.
They used a brown eye.
Yeah. So you can see the eye that they transplanted in there. It is a different color. I don't know if they're going to correct that with, I don't know, like a contact lens or something. I don't know. Or just keep it the way it is. I forget the name of like dual colored eyes.
The way that looks cool.
Yeah.
If I could have one brown eye and one blue eye, I totally would.
Like a husky.
Here's the part though that really fucking impresses me is the nose down. Like if you look at this guy's jawline, the facial hair, the mouth, even the nose, it's
wild.
It's so wild. Like you can see where, again, so folks that are just listening, we have the two images, the one of the severe burn on the left and the one of what his face looks like after the surgery. And it looks like you can see the difference between the face that's on the lower half, like even up to his eye. You even see the line. It looks like they just plopped a mask on. So you can see like two different faces really. Like what remains of his original face and the new face.
Mm-hmm.
But it's quite impressive. Here's a picture of him with an eye patch with the doctor who did the transplant.
Whoa.
And I mean, I gotta say, like, he'll probably look in the mirror and never and have a hard time recognizing himself in the mirror.
Can you go to the original photo of him with his wife? Before?
But he is very much much he looks like a person. Whereas the
shit.
burns that he had.
He's missing.
And
he's missing his left arm as well.
I didn't mean to say it to be rude, but like he doesn't look like a person. Like he didn't look. It almost looked like inhuman.
Oh, I mean
the severity of the injury.
It's one of the worst burns I've ever seen.
So the face and cornea transplants have been performed before, yet to the NYU Langone's team's knowledge, this is the first time a whole eye has been transplanted successfully, with or without a face. So the first partial face transplant was performed only in 2005 in France. And as of 2021, nearly 50 face transplants has been conducted worldwide. In 1969, Texas physician Conrad Moore claimed to have attempted the first whole eye transplant in a human, but it was not successful. A long time ago.
It is funny to think about.
That guy was just like, that guy was way ahead of his time.
Let's try it.
It is funny. Like, I wonder what constitutes trying the first eye transplant. Like, just thinking about the way that they did stuff back in the day. Like, at just for context, like at that same time, they were still like drilling holes in people's head. Because
I mean, trepanation still happens today.
Right.
You're meaning lobotomies.
No, I was talking about trepanation, but is trepanation still a thing? It's not in the same way that we were talking about it though. Before.
No, they're not doing trepanation for like hysterical women.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Right. But they were doing that at like that time in like 69.
I don't really.
Probably getting to the end of that.
I don't know. I don't know. 69.
That might be a little late for that, but
yeah, maybe.
It was pretty close to the same time that they were.
I mean, was there even electricity in 1969? Like, I don't. What do you?
I think everything. I think it was mostly candles. Yeah, it was like
and going to the moon. But other than like those two things,
interesting.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But we all know. We all know the truth behind that, right?
But imagine them doing an eye transplant. Then
we all know.
Like they probably just like put it on top and like pushed it in.
Yeah,
and they were like, "We tried it."
I mean, did they even have knives sharp enough to cut through it?
I don't think so.
1969?
I don't think so.
Man. Fuck.
Yeah. So James,
a barbaric era, really.
It was.
Yeah.
Aaron James is his name. Was that his name? James is added to the transplant waiting list in February 2023. And on Memorial Day weekend in May, a donor was identified, a deceased man in his 30s whose family consented to donate his organs. So James and his family flew to New York for the operation, which took place on May 27th. The portions of the face that were transplanted included the nose, left eyelids, eyebrow, lips, underlying skull, nasal and chin bones, cheekbones, and all of the muscle and nerve tissue under the right eye. The entire left eye and optic nerve were transplanted, and stem cells from the donor's bone marrow were transplanted along with them in the hopes of helping the optic nerve regenerate. And the surgery itself lasted 21 hours and involved more than 140 people, including doctors, nurses, and support staff.
Wow.
Dude, how expensive was that surgery?
You know what I think is really interesting about that too is one of my favorite types of YouTube channels to watch is like the art YouTubers that like do either miniatures or models and things like that. And to be able to like even sculpt something like XPS foam into like something that looks or resembles a real life object. So like if you're trying to cut the foam into like a miniature building or something, it's really difficult. I mean, it's really difficult to make it look realistic. And that's with foam that's easy to cut, meant to be used for that thing. So I'm trying to imagine like what it would be like to take bone and cartilage and skin and stuff and try to attach it into like reattach something that wasn't, it's not that guy's actual stuff that was the right size for his face to begin with. But you're trying to like mold and sculpt these bones and tissue and stuff.
Yeah, imagine how bad it would be if they were just like, Brian, we're gonna leave this to you.
Well,
like you have to do this.
I consider myself to be a pretty crafty and artistic person, but I'm wondering about like the people who actually do this. Like, are the doctors and stuff? Do they have? Because if you got like Nerd Forge, the YouTuber, to like carve that stuff into the perfect shape, I bet she'd do a pretty fucking good job at it.
What I'm hearing you saying, Brian, is that the doctors these doctors should really or could really just make a way better living if they were art YouTubers.
No, what I'm saying is that maybe the art YouTubers should be
also recruited
to help make model the person's face.
Like the oil drillers in Armageddon. Like how they took the oil drillers
right.
in Armageddon. They were like, you are the people that we want to take to the asteroid to save the human species.
Right.
Would you watch that YouTube video?
Totally. Yeah. Would you?
I don't know, man.
I mean, the drillers did it. I mean, like, have you seen Armageddon? I mean, they did it. They saved the human. They saved the human race.
This is a serious question. I don't mean for this to come across as being insensitive, but
late.
Probably will though.
Too late.
But to be honest, I wonder, looking at that guy's face and the size of the structure of like the new face that was put on, he doesn't look like it doesn't look like the same face shape as he looked like before.
He looks like a different person.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's a completely different.
So
I mean, because he has a different
wonder-
person's face on his face.
He has a different
Right.
face.
And so I wonder.
That's probably why.
So
that would be my guess.
I wonder from like the artistic like recreation of that face. You know, like when people do, you know, if you go in for
You mean like they should have contracted an art YouTuber to help mold and shape the face into a face that looks more like his face?
A serious question about like how much of the recreation is up to the like artistic recreation of the like sculpting the bones and the different tissue and stuff to fit together, or do they just take, you know, what they have and the fact that it's like obviously a really difficult surgery to reconstruct all of those pieces that were mentioned? Like, is it just hard enough to do that, or is there some sort of like?
It's probably more like functional than cosmetic.
Yeah, I was gonna say like in
cosmetic was the word I was looking
in terms of like shaping the bone and stuff, especially with like the sinuses. There's probably like we don't really have a choice. We got to shape it this way so that so that it'll fit, or that you know it like airway clearance isn't a problem, or that there's he's not gonna run into like any kind of like sinus. Like continuous sinus infections because whatever, like a fucking cavity's too small or something like that. I don't know, like, but also you definitely have to balance. I mean, if that doctor is really like wanting to do the best job possible, you're also going to want to balance the cosmetic part too.
Well, it's important,
like,
right?
Yeah, we got to give this person like a face that they can appreciate and love, and not some like fucking Frankenstein's monster type thing. That which is what it would probably look like if like you did it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just thinking like I'm picturing what you would do.
No, you mean if what Taylor would do, for example?
No, I'm pretty sure.
I just wouldn't.
Yeah.
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 But
I mean, I gotta say, like they did a good job. If you look at him here, like he looks
like
even from this distance, like from that photo taken, it's kind of hard to even tell that he had surgery.
Yeah. I just wonder what type of cosmetic consideration
he's
there
more
is.
handsome than the doctor.
Given the fact that there is such a given the fact that there is like such a it's such a difficult medical procedure, I wonder how much cosmetic consideration is made when they're in the process of like trying to put it all back together.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there's most certainly some of it boils down to that.
Guys, I think I'm pretty certain on exactly the balance. So I think.
Can you give us a number?
I think I feel like it's a 70-30.
Yeah,
I feel like I know
70 cosmetic and 30 functional.
I just wanted to put a bow on it. Just say I know exactly what it is.
Just to clarify, you could also say that is a really interesting thing. Maybe we should look into that next time and think about or research how much cosmetic consideration is made.
Brian, you know what? That is reserved for our real relationship off air.
I feel like this whole episode right now is just fucking going down the drain. Let's move on to something that I'm sure Taylor's gonna love, because it has to do with butt darts.
I already know. I saw it.
Lizzie Jordan. Lizzie Jordan went through a rough time in 2017. So a fast food meal. God damn, man! I wish this wasn't the first thing written in this BBC article.
Because you like your McDicks.
I do like McDonald's. A fast food meal after a night out in 2017 changed the course of Lizzie Jordan's life forever. But here we go. Silver lining.
Gotta love them.
It's opened the door to new opportunities. When she was a student studying psychology at Royal Holloway University in London, Jordan, then 19, contracted a rare strain of E. coli through food poisoning from probably a London chain. Let's say Nando's, maybe. Allegedly.
Likely, yeah.
Actually,
definitely say allegedly no matter
allegedly.
what.
Also,
it's not even allegedly Nando's. It's just allegedly a chain.
Allegedly, it could have been something like a Nando's.
So I hope it wasn't Wagamama.
As long as we just say allegedly, no fast food chain can sue us.
That's right. Now, in her, it left her in a coma. She was obviously really fucked up. She almost died. But eventually she came out of the coma. And when she did, she was blind. A lot of eye stuff this weekend. Blinded by the light. And the light was Nando's. But after hitting what she described as rock bottom, Jordan from Guildford has set herself new challenges and is aiming to be a part of the Great Britain paracycling team at next year's Paris Paralympics. She said, I was very, very poorly. That's what she said.
Is that
BBC Sport. I was very, very poorly.
Is that the
she
accent
told BBC
from where
Sport.
she's from?
I suffered multiple organ failure and doctors warned my parents on several occasions that I might not pull through. But thanks to the use of a rare and expensive drug, they managed to get me out of a coma.
Sure, that was well received.
But when I woke up, I had totally lost my eyesight, which was terrifying. When I came home from the hospital, I thought to myself, how am I going to live my life without sight? Which, I mean, I'd probably think the same thing if I was 19, then all of a sudden couldn't fucking see anymore. She said, it's your window to the world and how you see and experience everything. I said, I've got two options here. I can sit around and feel really sorry for myself, or I can try and make something out of my life and actually maybe achieve something I wouldn't have done even if I had sight. So her determination saw her run the 2019 London Marathon, raising $15,000 for the RNIB charity. She ran a marathon and cannot see.
Yeah, be tough. I mean,
That's
it's
great.
tough to run a marathon anyway.
Yeah.
But
It's tough to run.
It's good
tough
that
to run.
she was able to eventually see the silver lining.
Oh, Brian.
Wow.
In 2020, she attended the British Cycling Talent ID Day, and despite having barely ridden a bike before losing her sight, she impressed in testing, and it started a new journey which yielded gold at this year's World Championships in Glasgow in the mixed tandem sprint, as well as tandem kilo bronze medal with pilot Amy Cole. So I was searching high and low. This is the only video I could find, and actually I'm going to have to... I took the audio out because it's we'll probably get flagged on YouTube. So here's some cool music to go along with it.
Okay.
So you can see she's in the back, and she's got like a pilot in the front. So it's like a tandem bicycle. How fucking sweet is that?
That's sweet. Taylor, I would go biking with you more if we could ride a bike like that.
Hey, you know what?
It would be very cute.
Well, you know Ed Walsh.
Yeah.
And Ed's probably listening to this right now. Ed's dad was the pilot for a blind athlete at the Paralympics in, I believe, the 80s.
Now I got a question. Is in the Olympics or in World Championship of Biking that's not reserved for like Paralympic athletes, is tandem biking a thing?
You mean in like non
I don't know the names of
non-Paralympic competition.
Yeah.
No. Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that's
a shame.
Not at like the world level. No.
It'd be so fun to see tandem biking. I would watch that. That's there's something really cute about it.
I mean, it's kind of the same.
People. Imagine 4 people. Like
that'd be cool.
Like B4.
You probably go.
What
really
there
fast.
is
say C4 or B4. I guess B4. Bike 4.
What there is now, which would be like a more. I mean, if we're getting into like the realm of like inclusivity, what they've added in the last 2 years at the World Championships for road and time trial is they have a mixed team relay. So it's men and women team time trial.
But they're all in individual bikes.
They're all in individual bikes.
I want an MM bike. Or an FFM or an FFF or an MMMF.
So you want them to be 3 people on the bike, and you don't really care how the genders are mixed up.
Wait, what's N? Is N non-binary?
M. But yeah, we could do N. Yeah, sure. NMFN. We could do that. NFFF.
Lots of great. Pornhub references.
So
what are you doing, step bro?
Ride my bike.
But dude, basically, the Paralympics basically has that covered for you because it does. There's one pilot who can see, and the other person. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're watching if they can the other person can see or not.
They actually do. I believe they do tandem and like mixed gender tandem as well.
They probably do.
Yeah, they actually do. I know for a fact because at me trying to find Lizzie biking, there was a bunch of stuff about Lizzie and her another partner that she rides with.
Well, there's so many more disciplines because of the like diversity of disability that people have.
Yes.
So it's like because of that, there's just like a way wider range of types of events, so that a very wide range of disabilities can compete.
Do you guys think that the viewership, just purely the viewership, would increase if the blind person was the pilot?
Unfortunately, yes, I do. Unfortunately,
yes.
Unfortunately, I do think that would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
I mean, it's just funny that unfortunately, it would like.
It's kind of like the same. It's not
funny.
No. It's kind of like the same. It's kind of like it's kind of like the same sort of ethos around like why Most Extreme Elimination Challenge was like
exactly
why so many people watch that.
Yeah.
Ouchie.
So let's move on. We'll keep this tight this week, and we'll do this week's edition of.
Is Most Extreme Elimination Challenge still on?
I don't think
no,
so.
NXT, no. Genius show though.
I loved NXT.
Me too. Yeah. Don't know if it would pass what we call in the biz, pass the vibe check today.
Yeah. It's a little cringe.
In this current climate.
It didn't slay today?
It's kind of a bit boomer humor, to be honest.
It is, yeah. So erythromalgia. You guys ever heard of erythromalgia?
I have not.
Also known
and we
as,
talked about it on the podcast.
It's also known as
This girl is on fire.
It's also known as man on fire syndrome. And here's a really interesting thing.
Do we have somebody on the podcast with us?
No, I don't believe we did. But you know how I came across this? Is that our new measly intern, Annika Harmonica, she deals with this. And it's extraordinarily rare. Only 1 in 100,000 people in the U.S. have reportedly, been diagnosed with erythromalgia, or what many of those
erythromalgia.
Yeah. Erythromalgia.
But it has nothing to do with the urethra.
It has nothing to do with your pee hole. No.
Okay.
Pee line. They also call it EM or man on fire syndrome. Let's do person on fire syndrome.
Sure.
I think that's more inclusive.
That's better.
A neurovascular illness, EM causes the blood vessels meant to keep blood flowing and supply the body and organs with nutrients and oxygen to malfunction. So it makes the blood vessels malfunction, leaving them unable to successfully undertake the process of normal narrowing, vasoconstriction, and widening, vasodilation, necessary for the most basic crucial function. A breakdown that leads to the sensation of self-immolating. It leads to the sensation of literally being on fire. So Jay Bannock, an author who wrote for this Times article about her experience with this, she said, quote, "If I step outside for too long on a sunny day, if I get a little bit warm walking around, if I exercise or even mildly exert myself, if I wash my hands or my dishes, and sometimes for no discernible reason at all, it just happens. My hands turn a fuming shade of red, become tight with swelling, and begin burning. My face, my ears, my feet all joined in at some point or another too. When I use the word burning, I imagine that most readers interpret this to mean hot, as if the parts of my body were just very, very warm. But it is crucial here that you understand that I actually mean burning. Hand flares feel as if I am placing my hand on the burner of a stove.
Whoa.
And bring back memories of the sensation of sticking my hands in snow as a child and foolishly running them under hot water to warm them up. A flare in my ears.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, a flare in my ears feels as if someone is holding a lighter to my skin. Face flares feel as if I've gotten a terrible sunburn without any of the fun of having first been at the beach. When I feel the sensation in my feet, it's like walking across hot coals. Now, I have seen videos of people walking across hot coals, hanging out with, what's his name? Big fucking bone buddy who's really inspirational.
The Liver King.
No.
Tony Robbins.
Thank you. And they seemed to do it pretty well.
Yeah.
But if they sucked at it, it would probably feel like what this lady's feeling.
A friend of mine that I play soccer with just went to North Carolina to do a fire walking training.
With
Oh wow,
Tony
a
Robbins?
training.
Training.
Training. And what does this training? What do you get out of that training?
It's
You can walk over
from
over
what
poles.
it
That's
sounded
half
like.
of
I
the
mean,
end.
these weren't his words.
Right. Okay. Sure.
But it sounded like he was potentially being initiated into a cult.
No, I like this.
I can sympathize with this feeling because I'm not going to tell the whole story because I've told it many times on this podcast. I felt I thought
right.
I was on fire once.
That's right. Yeah.
And you witnessed it.
Yeah.
When I got
That was fucking fucked.
when I got the severe burn. And,
Yeah, that was a horrible experience.
You know what? Just a side
and
note.
that was for 30 minutes. And the standout thought from that experience was either this is going to go away or I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah,
like I'm going to have a psychotic break imminently if this doesn't resolve itself.
One of the
crazy
other
thing
things
about Annika is that like the fact that she has this and also has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and has
poor Annika's got.
like hypermobility and dislocates her bone.
She's
and
trying to win the
necks and stuff.
competition. Is what she's
And
doing.
crazy
what our
about it is
audience
that-
member don't know is that Annika's here with us and she wants to express herself, but she hasn't been with us long enough for us to allow her on the show to express
She's
herself.
actually not here.
So, no.
Jesus Christ.
We'll let her out of the cage after
Next
this is
month.
done. But the crazy thing is watching her play. I mean, playing against her in wheelchair basketball.
Yeah.
It's like none of those things affect her when she's playing wheelchair basketball.
Yeah.
She's like
Yeah, dude.
like crisscrossing people and
That was like me in
and
acting with CF.
fucking shooting threes like no
Yeah.
problem. It's wild. She's like scary to be around on the court because she's so aggressive.
I could be wrong about this, but I feel like a lot of people that live with chronic illness, like when they're in flow state or they're like doing the thing that they like they were like fucking meant to do or doing something that they're really passionate about. It's like it almost puts your illness on pause.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even down to like really simple things. Like Kyla gets like, especially in like pollen season and shit. You guys have seen Kyla sneeze.
Yeah.
She sneezes in packs of like 10. And sometimes she'll sneeze in packs of 10, like 100 times a day.
Yeah.
And so, but if she were to go into
The kitchen and cook
like-
you a
if
sandwich,
she were to go and
it just goes away.
she would go into teach yoga,
Oh, sorry.
she would just not sneeze for an hour, even
Yeah,
though she
yeah, right.
sneezed like 100 times
But
an
then,
hour.
she
every
comes
hour.
out of the class and
And
immediately
immediately
blows her
starts sneezing
brains
again.
out of her
Yeah.
fucking
It's
eyeballs.
crazy
Yeah.
because like pushing on
Yeah.
the wheels of the wheelchair, my like forearms and wrists were so sore afterwards. And I was wondering how a person who has like hypermobility and
Yeah,
this like
right.
connective
Totally.
tissue thing.
Does she wear
like,
does she wear wrist braces, like wrist support?
no, I don't think so.
No,
I
they're
don't
all just
remember.
they're all just fucking
Yeah.
hardcore.
They're just tough.
One of
crazy.
the other things that Jay said was, and there's these hangovers on days after flares. This is so gnarly. A sensation that I liken to rubbing one's hands and feet in pink insulation or a tray of crushed glass.
Oh no.
It is believed that there is a primary version of the illness caused by genetic factors and a secondary version related to underlying disorders like polycythemia vera, neuropathy, autoimmune illnesses such as lupus and rheumatoid arthritis.
EDS.
EDS would probably fit under there as well. Episodes can increase in frequency with time or remain unchanged over years or decades. For some, the condition can increase in severity rapidly and become disabling within months. Efforts to temper the burning of one's body parts with water or ice can lead to severe infections and gangrene and
Whoa.
further damage to blood vessels.
Well, what a fuck you from that syndrome to you.
There-
That it's like if you try to stop this, it's only going to make it worse.
Yeah, and there are stories of people who literally want to amputate their own limbs because of the severity of the pain,
I get that.
or even worse, end their life. And there's currently no cure for person on fire syndrome.
Crazy.
Yeah, so
Man, that sucks.
Why? Like, I mean, it's wild. I never heard of it. Didn't know much about it.
Oh,
to be honest with you,
autoimmune shit, man.
Don't want anything to do with it.
Autoimmune shit.
It's so crazy.
Autoimmune stuff is
it's always mind blowing.
worst.
I know. It just like it never ceases to kind of shock me. The just the complexities of it and like the nuances of it.
I wonder if the hangovers have something to do with like if you get like a bunch of inflammation, good or bad, like good inflammation, like
like a
post
boner.
like yes, or a like post workout inflammation, which is like good to like call white blood cells to do their thing, or bad inflammation. I wonder if. I know that like your body will start to like use all of like your water content to like try to heal things. Like water, like your water that's in your body is like highly important for that process. I wonder if there's like severe dehydration that comes along with like an episode which makes you feel like shit. Like if we went to the spa on whatever Tuesday night, like if we just went to the spa and didn't drink water before, went to the spa and were like in and out of the hot saunas and everything, and then didn't drink any water, like we'd feel fucked the next day.
Yeah.
Anyway, just hypothesizing.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's all we got for you this week, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and again for all those Vancouver peeps. God damn, thank you. So sorry to everybody who didn't get a ticket. That sucks because it's going to be a really memorable show and you're really going to miss out.
Wow.
But hey, we'll be back someday,
Totally.
And if you want to support the podcast, leave a rating and a review. Come on over to Discord where you can join the conversations about these episodes. And yeah, we would love to see you over there. It's always fun to chat.
And if you want to be a guest on the show, go to sickboypodcast.com and fill out the guest form, and maybe we will have you in the hot seat to talk about your experience.
Not too hot though.
Not too hot, and not so hot.
Man on fire hot.
Nope.
You know what? It might not even matter if it's not hot because maybe your skin will just be burning anyway because maybe you have person on fire syndrome and that's what you're here to talk about.
That'd be a hard recording.
Yeah.
Especially if they're really hot at the time.
If they're in an episode.
We should aim to speak to people when they're in the middle of flare-ups.
Like when they're
often.
in crisis.
Because like it's definitely makes for good entertainment, right?
Totally.
And that's what we're
all about.
That's what we're all about.
Like
here.
Brian said, he can't wait until the Paralympics kind of flip the script on those bike races, right?
I just think that I want to put forth that idea to them because I think it might increase engagement. Which is like my thing. Like that's what
whatever drives engagement.
That's what I'm all about. I think
we're just about to get canceled.
The viewers.
Here we go. Canceling.
And thanks to you if you're one of our viewers that we've managed to get here by boosting our engagement with you. And thanks as well to the people who helped make this show happen. Thanks Annika Harmonica for being our production assistant.
Annika Hermanica.
And thanks to Jeff Lonis, to Rich O'Coin, to Donovan Morgan, and the rest of the gang. We love you.
That is it for this week.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sick Boy.
And we said, not yet. We got